thanks for tuning in. Paul here. I got a 2005 Acura MDX here. The inner tie rod ends are worn and it's getting some noise when you brake. I'm gonna have to pull this brake apart and check out what's going on with that. They thought it might have been a wheel bearing. It does not seem like a wheel bearing sign to me, because I took it on the highway doing 75, got it where it was definitely hot and I didn't hear any bearing noise, but when I did decelerate I heard noise when applying the brakes. So I'm gonna have to pull the brake assembly on this right front passenger side. I just want to show you guys how to jack this car up if you're not familiar with doing so. I jacked here, but I used a 4x4 to dissipate the weight, distribute the weight I mean, and then I put my jack stand up in this heavier part. If you jack on here, you can wind up collapsing that, so don't jack on that single sheet there. It's doubled up here. You may be safe putting a jack there, but like I said, I liked using a block of wood or something to distribute the weight a little more evenly. I do have jack stands on both sides. I've got the jack set up there, but it's not really holding anything. It's just a backup. Do not trust a jack doing this. To disassemble this, you're gonna need a 19mm wrench to first back off this lock nut, turn that counterclockwise, back that off, and a 19mm to get the outer tie rod end off. I got a couple of new tools here that are excellent, making my job a lot easier. I just want to show you these guys. I'm not getting paid, or I didn't get any kind of promotional thing for this. This is the Astro 1828. It's the Onyx 3/8 drive Nano. They also have it in 1/2-inch drive. I believe it has 450 foot-pounds of torque. Definitely pulls nice for its size. It's amazing. Then I got this impact gun. I forget the number on this. I will get it for you. I'll let you know the number for that. I gave that just 2 shots and that was right out. And then I got this impact 1/2-inch impact gun as well. I got it around here somewhere. Oh, it's in my bucket of tools. I'll get you the number for this and I'll put links at the end of my video. Model 1812 1/2-inch drive impact. I think this has 650 foot-pounds. Another great little tool for getting in the tight spaces. This is the Onyx Astro Mini 3/8 wobble ratchet. It's got a wobble tip on it, which is great for getting into tight areas. Look at how small it is. Fits right in the palm of my hand. All right, so you're going to need a 19mm wrench, 19mm socket. I have the Astro inner tie rod end removal set. This goes up to 1 1/32, I think. 1 5/16, and that's not big enough. I measured this with a caliper, a quick measurement on the inner tie rod, and it was 40mm. It's like a Mack truck, this thing. The bearings on this vehicle are ridiculous as well. They're great, but this thing is built like a Mack truck. Lock nut. You're going to need a 14mm wrench to hold the inner tie rod from spinning. Then count your revolutions on how many turns you back this off. If you're going with OEM tie rod ends, you're probably going to be pretty close to what the original alignment was, but I would recommend getting it aligned again anyway. I'm putting Moog tie rod ends on here, and on the outer and inner. One of the better brands of parts for front end components, so I'm hoping it's close to the original size. I'll measure it up when I get the other one off. If it's different, I'll measure what the difference is and try to compensate that thread wise, but I told the owner of this vehicle they're going to need an alignment. Okay, let me work on backing that inner tie rod out, the outer tie rod out, and then we're going to give a shot on the inner one. You're going to have to pry the clamp on the inner boot of the inner tie rod off, and then there's a little spring clamp on the outer boot that you can slide off after you get the outer tie rod end off and remove the lock nut. You can slide that little clamp off with the boot. All right, guys, I'm not going to bore you with all the footage of that. It's just basic wrenching. Well, guys, I am happy to say that I was wrong. 40 millimeter was some kind of bolt in there on the rack, so it does have a head. I pulled the boot off. I had to spread the metal clamp with a screwdriver. Oh, that's the housing for the rack that I was looking at. I wasn't looking at the end of the inner tie rod. I'm going to size that up now. That's not it. Probably the next one up. About 1.25 inches. Try 1 7/16. I'd be surprised if it's not metric. This might fit on though. 1 7/16 bites it. It's got a little play in it. Let me try the other side down. 1 1/4. No, 1 1/4 is too tight. Oh, it's 1 7/16. So that goes on there. Then my tool will slide over that, and then I can zip that off. All right, let me show you how that tie rod end tool works. I'm gonna get my smaller camera and try to put it up in here. Over that piece, and then you can lock it on there. There's a retainer ring that slides. I'm gonna try it without sliding a ring. I got an impact driver over here, my Nano, 3/8 drive Nano. Try giving that a shot. Oh, that's 1/2 inch drive, sorry. My tool is 1/2 inch drive. I cannot use the Nano. I must use the 1/2 inch drive. Huh. That's crazy. Alright, for some reason that's bouncing around too much where the impact's not getting it. So I'm going to get a pipe wrench on that tool, hold that tight, and then try zapping with the impact. Let me go get a pipe wrench. Alright guys, what I did is I threw a pipe wrench on the tie rod removal tool. I just held a load on it, then hit it with the impact, and it zipped that free. These locking tabs have to be straightened out. I didn't do this first. I'm glad I didn't damage it though. Let me show you how these go. There's two little tabs on here. They fit in these slots on here. You see those slots? Those tabs fit in there when you tighten the tie rod end on. You got to get those tabs in those slots. Then when you get the tie rod on, you hammer over this tab on the flats of the tie rod end. So I'll show you right here. Set you up. All right, here goes the outer tie rod end. The tool slides on these two flats. Now this will go where those two tabs fit on the steering rack. Then you'll hammer over this on the flats so it locks that in place. This tie rod was definitely shot. You're not supposed to be able to easily wiggle that by hand like that. And this one as well. Look at how loose that is. I can wiggle that real easy. You're not supposed to be able to wiggle them easily like that. They're supposed to have friction. This car was rattling like crazy, even at low speeds. If you went over any kind of rough pavement, anything, you heard rattling like crazy. I could shake the wheels back and forth, so it definitely needed inner and outer tie rod ends. I really don't think the outer wheel, I don't think the bearing is shot on this front passenger wheel. I'm thinking something's happening with the brakes. So after I get these tie rod ends and stuff back together, I'll be doing that. I guess I'll make a different video out of that. So I hope this has helped some of you guys. This is definitely a great thing to have around. Silicone paste. I used that to lube that older tie rod end to get the boot off without damaging it. The boot is in good shape. These clamps you're not supposed to reuse again. I probably could clamp that with a wire cutter, but I may put a heavy zip tie on there. I bought a bag of heavier zip ties to put that boot back on with. Let me give you the part number for these. The outer tie rod ends are different. You have to go specific for the left and the right. The right outer tie rod end from Puig, part number is ES3716. ES3716. The left outer is ES3717. ES3717. And then the inner tie rod number is EV471. Both of those are the same. Oh, that's good. It comes with a new retainer in there and a new lock nut for the tie rod. That's good. Alright guys, I guess I'm going to start reassembling this. I don't really want to kill you with a bunch of video of me just tightening things up. Maybe I'll set the camera up on a tripod, but you pretty much got what you needed to get. Make sure you put a new cotter pin in the outer tie rod when you tighten that down. There's a hole in that bolt. You're going to have to put a new cotter pin in there. Do not reuse the ones that were in there. They're very cheap. They were very light duty ones that were in there. Really flimsy junk. I got these. I can tell you what size they are. These are 1/8 by 1 3/4. The 1/8 is heavier and it's small enough to fit in the hole that's on that outer tie rod. So I would suggest going with 1/8 cotter pins. You get 1.5 inches. What are these? 1 3/4? 1 3/4. Doesn't matter. 1.5 inches, 1 3/4. All right, guys. Let me see if I'm going to set the other camera up and just film. But that's basically it. Thanks for watching. If you're leaving now, please give a like and subscribe. And remember, take good care of your cars, guys. They'll take good care of you. For those of you that want to hang around and watch, thank you for doing so. I appreciate all the support you guys give this channel. We're growing little by little. We're getting there, guys. We're going to be somebody. All right, guys. I just want to show you how this works here. This is that tab. You make sure that you line these up with the rack. These go in the little slots on the rack. Then this will butt up against this when you tighten it. Then you got to bend these over the flat spots on both sides. May be awkward, but you got to flatten them out so this has no way of backing out, okay? All right, I hope that's helpful. Okay, guys. I got that top flattened down. I actually hit it with my air hammer, the top. The bottom, I'm getting with a flat punch and a hammer from beneath. I am flattening it out. It's taking a little bit of effort, but I'm getting it. got her. She's flat on both sides now. I don't do stuff half-assed, man. Especially steering components, brakes, anything that's vital on a car. I don't do anything half-assed, but especially these things. Extra attention to detail. Very important. Lives depend on this stuff, you know? Alright, I gotta silicone that up a little bit and slide that boot on. Do not put regular grease or oil on rubber components. It destroys it. Silicone is safe. It's actually good for it. So you can use silicone grease, not petroleum grease. This is silicone paste. That thing is coming real handy. I just bought that recently and I use it like 6 times already. I'm going to have to retract this one to get that boot on. There's a reusable fastener for there on the inner one. I'm putting a zip tie. Gonna get it on there nice and tight. I'm going to cut the wheel the other way. Just want to make sure I have that boot on there correctly. That boot is vital to protect this life of this. Let's see where the best position where I can get a pull on this is. This way. Get a little plier and pull on that zip tie. Make sure that's on there nice and tight. Here we go. Now I'm going to extend it all the way the other way to make sure that boot doesn't come popping off there. Beautiful. Fully extended. The boot stayed on. Fully extended and the boot didn't come off. That's what we want. Somehow this air conditioning sensor plug is out of here. I don't know how that happened. I didn't do it. I'm not messing with it. That's been unplugged for a long time, it looks like. I can't even see where that goes. If I can find that, I'll put that back on there. Maybe a reason why they have that off of there. This was that reusable clip. Bent needle noses are great for getting these, for depressing them. Where I can get this. retarded trying to work with my left hand. Terrible. So awkward. Trick that I saw somebody had done. I think Brian's Auto or something. Cut a groove in there on the angled pliers. And it makes it easier to grip clamps. Truth is in the pudding, right? Here we go. Now I counted 17 turns out on the other one. Let me see if the 14 mil wrench fits this one. Yep. I'm going to put some never sees on that so they can adjust that. Right, I'm putting a little copper never sees on here. This will be held with a jam nut, a lock nut. So this will just make it easy whenever they got to do a wheel alignment on this. It's not going to get all corroded. This car is in the Northeast, salt country. Everything gets to shit real quick. This stuff, a little bit goes a real long way with this stuff. Just putting a little dab on the thread. Got to run the nut in. And I counted 17 turns on the other one when I took it out. You might have to hold the tie rod. I got a 14 mil wrench here. Part of this is flattened, so you can get a wrench on there to hold it, to keep that whole inner tie rod from rotating when you're putting the outer tie rod on, counting your revolutions back in. Oh, look at that. It even came with cotter pins. I didn't even need them. How nice. How sweet of Moog to do that. Isn't that sweet? Moog is nice. Moog is good. Moog is good. Moog is fantastic. Moog is fantabulous. Look at it. It's even got a protective little condom cover on it. Look at that. I love Moog. Moog is great. Moog was so nice. They gave me a cotter pin with the new outer tie rod. That was so sweet of them. Alright, my last revolution was facing down. I mean facing up. And try to grab it right from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 turns. That's what we had on the last one. 17 revolutions. Should be a flat on here to hold this too. How nice is that? How nice is Moog? Should be a 19 mil on that lock nut. If it's the same as the other one, it was 19 millimeter. Got to see what size the outer tie rod is. I can put that in actually, then I'll tighten that jam nut up. I'll put it into the wheel assembly. What the hell did I do with my 16 millimeter? There it is. Here she is. That looks bigger. No, 19, I'm sorry. That's not even 19, that's larger. That's probably a 21 mil. It's gotta be a 21 millimeter. Let me try 21. It's 21 and a 22. Not even a 21, bigger than that. 22 mil. Alright, if you're putting a Moog tie rod on, you're going to need a 22 mil to tighten that jam nut up. Was that from the top or from the bottom? I'm not sure. I got to go check. From the top. I'm going to get another half turn in. Is a 19 mil. I don't want to go crazy with this half-inch impact. I'm going to put this on its lowest setting. I get that jam nut on there nice and tight so that I can't move. Alright, that jam nut's on. That's in. Got to put our cotter pin in. And that's one side done. Should I do the other side tomorrow?
Huh?
Should I do the other side tomorrow?
You can, sure, if you want.
I could, right?
Yeah.
What's tomorrow's weather looking like?
It's only 2 o'clock, you know. You can take a break too.
I know.
Let's see.
What a stupid design. This cotter pin is nowhere near the nut at all. I don't like this.
Rain tomorrow.
Rain tomorrow?
Yeah.
I guess I'm not doing it tomorrow.
Saturday's nice. Periods of rain. Low 52. Chance of rain 80%.
Should have lunch now, right?
Sure. We have chicken, right? I could make chicken salad. You want a chicken salad sandwich?
Chicken salad?
Yeah.
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 Chicken salad.
Yeah. Yeah, honey. Just sitting pretty.
Honey's always sitting pretty. She's queen. You forget who she is? Alright, that's it for that side, guys. This lock nut on this side is frozen on here. So I can heat it with a torch to run it off while I hold this with a wrench. Or I may just take my Sawzall and zip that off so I can slide the boot off and reuse that boot. I might just cut it with a Sawzall. I got a good Diablo blade. That may be the route I go with this. Alright, I'm not going to bore you with all this video, man. I think I got a 16 mil here, or no, 19 mil. That was a 19 mil. You got to break that lock nut free first. Get your cotter pin out of there. Then get that nut off. I have that air hammer from Astro Pneumatic. I love it. I just gave that 2 taps. Pop, pop. And that came right out. What a great tool. Making my life easier. Buy one. It's worth it. I don't care if I mar it up a little bit. It's a tool.
Alright.
It's a tough tool. I like this Astro Pneumatic stuff.
Good.
I'm very happy with that brand. Really happy with them. Impressed. Because a lot of people make junk now, you know? Looks like they make some good quality stuff.
Where'd you get them from?
Most
Online?
of it on Amazon.
Did it come recommended from the guys you watch, or?
South Main Auto use a lot of this stuff. I've seen other people using it too.
Yeah.
This,
Word of mouth helps.
this I used the shit out of the impact on.
Yeah.
And it didn't mar this at all. This is hard to steel. Like tool steel. Good. If I would have bought one of them cheap ones, that thing would have rounded out and I wouldn't have got it out. That's what would have happened.
Well, make sure you make the recommendation.
I am. Oh, I'm still recording, guys. I was just telling Wendy how impressed I am with this Astro pneumatic tools. Let me give you the number for this. Astro 78806. The inner tie rod end removal tool set. Made out of quality products, man. I wrapped that with a 1/2-inch impact, took it right out. I had to load it with a wrench because it was slopping it. But once I loaded it with a pipe wrench, I hit it with the 1/2-inch drive impact, came right out. Alright guys, that little flat locking tab that goes on the inner tie rod. When I tightened this up, one of those, the flats wound up on the top, and it was like no room to get in there with a hammer to bend that over. What I did is I finally found a punch that was the right distance. I put it up against the steering box and had Wendy here turn the wheel gently, pulling the tie rod end in, and I bent it over with a punch. After that, I took a heavier hammer and just tapped it some, and then I got a big pair of channel locks and squeezed it down tight. So those are there as a safety feature. If it's got two sides that are supposed to be squeezed to flat, I do it. I don't skimp on that crap. So if you look in there, you're probably not going to be able to see anything, but you look into the top. Let me try to get the camera positioned. You can see that piece is flattened out. Let me try to get over here with you guys. I don't know if you can see it in there. I got it flat. I got it flat on both sides. So that's a tip. I hope it helps somebody. If you're having a hard time, you can't get in there with a swing with a hammer, let the strength of the steering help you. Just be careful. There's a little steel ring in there, like a spacer or something. Get that out of the way. You don't want to break that. And be gentle. You don't want to break the case on the steering rack either. So all right guys, that's it. I'm going to assemble this now. I'm getting tired. I hope this video was helpful to you guys. I do try to bring useful information. I'm not in this for making money. I'm in this to try to help people who want to work on their own cars and save some money, but also know that the job was done right and you're getting good quality parts in there. If you would have went to a garage with this, they would have got the cheapest crap front end components they could get their hands on. Stuff like Duralast from AutoZone, that stuff is absolute trash. Do not use Duralast brand front end components. They're garbage. All right, Advanced Auto, maybe you'll have a little better luck, but I go with Moog. All right, when I do Mercedes, I use Lemforder. That's their OE supplier. All right, so try to get to know your parts. Anybody needs any help on info or anything, feel free to leave a comment, or you can email me. It's at paulphillipsfix@gmail.com. So all right guys, remember, take good care of your cars, they'll take good care of you. Stay safe out there, man. It's crazy. This is serious business. Some people are thinking this is a joke. I see them running around without masks. I don't want them near me. I don't want to die, you know. All right, take care guys. Bye bye.